whole parsha. But, and here is a shvere Rambam, like a technical Rambam. And once you learn the sicha, of a different view of the parsha and a different view of Psuli HaMekdoshim. First, let's do in the Rambam, then we'll look at the Psukim. The Rambam, Hilchim Psuli HaMekdoshim, on the bottom of the page, Perek Vav Halocha Te Zayin. Kol HaKodshim Efshe Shiyas Arva Min B'Minun. That whole Perek in that, it's a very difficult Perek, Perek Vav, is about all kinds of karbonos that get mixed up. There's two behemoths get mixed up. You don't know which is the oil and which is the chatos. We have a whole Perek. There's all kinds of complicated things.
Today we had a halacha of that.
No, but this Perek is mamish. This is all about the
mixing.
Yeah. And however, Rambam says one thing. It's a Mishnah really. Kol hakodshim efsheh sheyisarva min b'minui. And there's big problems. What do? All kinds of problems. Chutz min achatos ima osham. The chatos and the osham can never get mixed up. Why? Shein osham ela mezichri kvosim, vein locho chatos min akvosim ela nekeva. If you take kvosim, so then
you know which
the osham is always male and the chatos is female. So how could you get mixed up? If there's one is a chatos and one is a osham, and then which one?
male.
But look, which is the female and which is the male? It's a Mishnah mefureshes. The child is, what's the Mishnah saying? And if it's obviously, so then what's the Mishnah saying?
No,
like
you don't know. You don't know which you had female or male, and you don't know which one you said.
Yeah, there's a pile somewhere.
No, it says chatas and then the female.
I know there's one is a chatas, one is a osh, obviously, because otherwise, what's going on over here? I know one korban is a chatas, one is a osh. Moshe is a metzordi. He needs to bring a chatas, a osham, and a shalom. Okay. So he bought two cows, and he said, Zois lachatas was Zois losham.
So
now he doesn't remember who is who. Ich weiß nicht.
So you look at the male and the female.
The male and the female, yeah.
No, but what happened if he said the chotos that's supposed to be a female and he gave a male?
No, it's not. It's not. It doesn't become kodesh. It's like
it's
saying that this camera is a korban chatas.
It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. It's a previous Perek.
So the question now.
The Rambam says that yes, how could get mixed? It can't be mixed. But what's the chiddush here? It's like there's a funny halacha also at the end, the last mission and the last mission Yevomis. Whole thing about it talk about different women. It says her mother-in-law can never be an islandess. Her mother-in-law can never be sterile. But what does the Mishnah have to say such a thing? I mean, obviously. Like you wait a minute when you read the Mishnah, chutz mechamusa, that she can't be an islandess. You think.
Stop.
It's like
maybe a step, like you have a stepfather, you have a step.
That's not what the Mishnah is talking about.
What
the Mishnah is saying. So what's going on? Okay, first let's read just quickly the Psukim, and then we'll go into the Rambam. And after you'll hear this beer from the Rebbe, the Psukim v'China and then the Rambam v'China will be a different parsha, and you'll learn about the oila and the chatos. And then, the oilam and the shlomim and the chatas and the oshim, this week's parsha, it's a different thing.
Has anything to do with kavana? The way kavana for the
Let's wait. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
Nefesh kisechta, this is a Thursday Chumash, which is also the Thursday Rambam. Nefesh kisechta, b'shkoga, mikol mitzvah Hashem ashaloi sasena v'osam achas mehena. Ima koyin HaMashiach yechta la'ashmas ha'om. So there's a special thing for the Kohen HaMashiach. However, regular people, so they skip another 27 psukim. He did one aveda, and he did it b'shgoga. He didn't realize, he didn't know it was Shabbos, and he did a malacha. They love. When he finds out, oida means when he finds out that he did the chait, maybe karbonos iris izim tmima nekeva al chatos chadol. He has to bring a sidas izim. It has to be tamim. It has to be in a keva. So a chatos has to be in a keva. The samach is yodaresh chatos. He leans on the chatos. V'shochet the chatos b'makom oila. The chatos is shecht in the same place as the oila. The Kohen takes the blood, he puts it on the karbonos of Mizbeach, which whoever's learning Rambam knows what's going on over here. It's called Dam Yishpach L'Yisayid Mizbeach. The rest of the dam goes in the Yisayid Mizbeach. It's called Chelev, all the fat of the behemoth, Yosik Asher Yusar Chelev Me'al Zevach HaShlomim. The same process as the Shlom. You take the Chelev and you put it on the Mizbeach. The dam and the Chelev has to go on the Mizbeach. Vikra HaKoyin HaMizbeach L'Reich Nechech L'Hashem V'chipur Olav HaKoyin V'nislach L'Hem Keves Yavi Korban Olachatas Nekeva T'mima Yivenu. And the same thing if it was not a Sa'ir, if it was a Keves, it has to also be an Akeva and also T'mima. Now fast forward from Chamishi to the end of the Parsha. Im nefesh kisechta v'otz acht mikol mitzvah shem lo yisasena v'lo yoda v'oshem v'nos avoyne. Here's a different thing. It wasn't shoygig. Oshem, it's Oshem Tolui. Oshem Tolui means like this. A guy, there were two pieces of meat in the refrigerator. One was kosher and one was treif. He thought, he knew on the right side was the kosher and the left was the treif. And he got also mished. He doesn't remember which one's the kosher. He ate one of them. So either ate the kosher or ate the treif. Shgoga means he thought he walked into a kosher store. It turns out that they were selling tarfas. He thought it had a nice hechsher. It was on Avenue J, kosher zone. You remember?
There's restaurants still today that they say glad
kosher. Let's say glad kosher.
But
it's glad treif. So that's a korban oshem. That's that's a shoygig. That's a chatos. A oshem is that there were two pieces in the refrigerator and he ate one of them. He has to bring an ayil. Ayil is male. Tomim, male. Right, very good. We'll get to the price soon. It's a different type of shoygig. Oshem who? Oshem Lashem. It's like a funny pasuk. We'll talk about the Ramban in a minute. What he says. Oshem who? Oshem Lashem. It's like a tongue twister. The Eibush said, Nefesh Kisechta, this different type of thing. Umol Amal Bashem V'chichesh Ba'amisei B'pikodin B'sumasyad B'gazal Oshik Asamisa. That's called the Osham Vadai. In the morning we say there's 5 Osham Vadais. There's Osham Tolui and there's Osham Vadai. Asham Shivcha Charuzpa, Asham Nazir, Asham Etzoida. There's 5 Osham which is Vadai. Right, exactly. I want to say the vechichesh bo nishbal ashakal achim mekala shias adam lachta behena. V'hoyu ki echta ve'oshem ve'heshe v'zagzeila shagos soishik asher oshem tikot asher hufkadite. As aved asher motza mekala sheyishav alav l'asheker v'shino esavid oishay v'chamisha esav yoisef alav l'asher hu lo yitnen abla mashmase. And then as Hashem Yavil Hashem Ayel Tomim Min Atzoyim Be'ekech L'Oshem L'Kayim. So first he has to give back. He steals. He has to return the stolen good. He also has to add a punishment. He has a knas. He gets a chamishis, and then he brings a korban which is called the Oshem. V'chiper Olo, and the caution is Ayel Tomim, which is a male. And it has to be again a tamim. Okay. So this is tamim always. That's every korban has to be tamim. Every korban, tamim or tmima.
What did they mention nekeva or male or female?
Huh?
Why sometimes male, sometimes?
That's what we're going to deal with now. So the first thing is back to the Rambam. So the Rambam brings the Mishnah that there's all kinds of mix-ups that can happen by karbonos, but there's one thing that you can never get mixed up between an oshem and a chatas. A chatas is always a female, and an oshem is always a male.
But the
so
is
it can't get mixed up.
So the only thing in question is what kind of oshem and what kind is it?
Here,
does it matter?
All kinds of this is a yotzim aklal for the nosi, but all ashamas is always male. All chatoas are always female. So if he
So you're saying whatever it is a chatas, but it's not a.
Take mine, yeah. Take it.
Yeah. So basically, we're saying that it doesn't matter what kind of chatas, what kind of asham.
the chatas is always female, and
So
the oshem is always male. Therefore, they can't get mixed up. So Meforshim ask, obviously. So there's all kinds of tirutzim, and they're all very funny tirutzim. The bottom line is, one of the tirutzim says, well, This is where the Rambam tells you that that the chatas has to be female and that the osham has to be male. But it's not true. The Rambam says it much earlier. He says it in the first Perek of Ma'aseh Karbonos, and in the previous Perek he says even more. He says that if a person makes a mistake, he doesn't realize it. He thinks that for a chatas he can bring a male. Chatas to be yes, and he says he buys a male, and he says this is for my chatas. It's not. There's no kedusha in it. No kedusha is dom and like kedusha aguf. It's like saying this bottle of seltzer is going to be for a korban chatos. This is nothing. Okay. So the Rambam already said it. So we know that. Okay. So bekitzer, that's the kasha. So the Zoya says that the Torah has gufad nishmasa, and every guf has a guf and a neshama, and the Torah also has gufa and nishmasa.
No, they also
the Torah.
Yeah.
The Rambam. So B'meila, just like a human being, a healthy human being, the neshama is functioning in tandem with the guf. If chas v'shalom, the neshama is not in sync with the guf, a person is sick, it has to be that the neshama is in sync with the guf. A yid has to learn pnimis Torah and nigla the Torah. There's a letter from the Rebbe that he writes. Someone asks, "Why do you have to learn pnimis Torah?" Very cute letter. The Rebbe says, "Look in the Mishlei. There's a pirush from the Vilna Gaon, and in 4 places the Gaon has a whole arichas that says a person that doesn't learn pnimis Torah doesn't understand nigla the Torah." Yeah, 4 places.
I was just wondering if
the 4 places. How is the Rebbe so bucky in the Mishlei Perish from the Gro? That's your question.
No,
So
my question is all the Talmidei Chachamim from the Goyen actually learned that?
They might not know that. so Memela. Sometimes you see at Emes that certain things you don't understand in one of the parts of the Torah without understanding the other part. And this is a prime example. Especially by karbonos, we understand from Meforshim that the inyan of carbon was not only the maisa, also the kavona was a very, very important part. Because we see that the Ramah wrote a whole sefer called Torah Sa'oila, which is what is the spiritual inyan of the karbonos.
Wasn't it the Kohen, if the Kohen had a thought
That was bad? Exactly. It was right away is good.
But how, my question is going deep. How would you know? How the Kohen himself, how would he figure it out? I mean,
that's a separate question. That's a good question. If he trusted, if he's not trusted, if he said afterwards. But the bottom line is it's a matter of trust.
Isn't it they were supposed to say something all the time so they keep their mind?
No.
They're not supposed to say anything?
No.
Wow.
No, they're not supposed to say.
So hard.
Because you say if they're going to say things, then they're going to get mixed up what they're saying. Better they shouldn't say anything.
Well, it's sad. If you think about it, you cannot think. You're not allowed to think.
You have to think the right thought. But if
you're the thought of the mitzvah that the reason you do it.
If they're learning, if they keep learning,
then they know what they're doing. Exactly. So V'meila, what is happening here? Obviously, there has to be a spiritual thing in the carbon, which I might think that you could mix up a chatos and an osham, even though this is male and female. On a spiritual level, I might think you could mix it up. The Rambam, it's interesting because the Rambam, we're learning now the book of Avodah, and then right before Pesach, Shabbos HaGodol, we start learning the halachas of Korban Pesach. Those are learning 1 Perek, are learning now Nusach HaGodah. It's very interesting. But those are learning 3 Perokim. So Shabbos HaGodol, we start learning karbonos. The last halacha in Avodah, the Rambam says that all the karbonos are chukim. The last halacha in Sefer Karbonos, he says, even though all the karbonos are chukim, and it doesn't matter. All the chukei HaTorah are really gzeiros from the Eibishter. However, is royal is boinan of him, but kol mashat hayochel litan loitam ten loitam. That you should try to find a reason for every mitzvah, and the reason has to be lataken hadeyus or liyasher kol ha'maisa. So the Rebbe says a nice thing. When you come to finish a Sefer Avodah Hashem, so you have to know that everything is, I'm a servant to the Eibishter. So really, mitzvahs, because the Eibishter said to do so, tzchukim. When I finish the Sefer Karbonos, I have to emphasize, because the Korban means Kiruv, I get close to the Eibishter. Over there, the emphasis is that, however, I have to find a spiritual reason in every mitzvah that will be metakin the deis and miyasha the maisim. Make me poshet up more of a mensch. What's takin the chiluk division achatas and osham? So there is a Ramban, a big, ungeschwollen Ramban, at the end of this week's parsha. And he talks about this, and it's a very important Ramban. It's also, there's mention about this in Rabbeinu Yoina. There's a famous Rabbeinu Yoina, you mentioned about this a few minutes ago, in the beginning of Shas. So he asks, what's the difference between Chatas and Osham? Both for a sin. Oila we know is different. Oila is Oila, Shlomim is a Shlomim. We understand they're different. But Chatas and Osham is both for a sin. What's the difference? Why is this called a Chatas and this is called a Osham? So the Ramban has a long Torah on this. He says, you look at the words, he brings like at least 25 psukim. Aval Hashem imanachnu. Hashem imanachnu? That was like a very big guilty finger. Rahman al-Islam, we were going to throw our brother into a pit with snakes and scorpions. We sold him as a slave. Hashemim? Hashem is like, whoa. It's a strong finger of guilt. Loi hechti es amatora. Koilei al amatora v'loi hechti. The guy could shoot an arrow, he hits it on the bullseye, not one hairbreadth away.
It's an easy one.
Okay. So the other guy is not such a good, he's not so good in archery. And he gets it a little off target. Okay, he was machti es amatora. He got it a little off. So chait means you can be a little off, and it's a chait. Osham, he wanted to kill his brother. You see the difference? Is that a very big difference? What's the whole union of chait? A chait is it was a mistake. He went to a store, had a big sign, kosher l'mahadr and glat kosher. Turns out they were selling treif. But he didn't know. He thought he's paying a premium to buy kosher chicken. Turns out it was treifa chicken. It was a story in Muncie. Story in Muncie. It was a butcher shop. And the owner of the butcher shop was bragging for many years that there's one hechsher that he doesn't sell in his butcher shop. Because they say a certain thing, so they have pikuris, and he was a big expert who was not koifer, who was not pikoidus. There's one shchita he doesn't sell. So there was one kehil in Muncie didn't have to kasher the kelim. One, he was always very bragging that there's one hechsher he doesn't sell.
You know the story?
I know this story from my uncle who's at Ov in Muncie. He was bragging that one hechsher he doesn't sell. Okay. So that's an osham. I'm sorry, that's a chatas. What's an osham? An osham says that Ramban is, first of all, there's the osham vadai. He got gazlan. You know what gazlan is? It's like, it's a chutzpah. You get take ganev is worse, but a gazlan is a chutzpanyak or a pekodin. A person trusts you and says, "I'm going away, Medina Sayyam. Could you please take care of it?" And I say, "Don't worry, rest assured, I'm gonna." Comes back.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you? It's unbelievable. Ain't no the maze part of. And it's not, the laws of nature say that a person shouldn't be able to do such a thing. And it's such a chutzpah, it's such a gruesome sin. Gezel, oishek, pikodin, these are gruesome sins. And even if it's a osham tolui, you know the refrigerator, you know there is one chaza treif and one. So why, and you knew there's an issue here, why did you eat? It's not the pshat, he went into a butcher store that had a big hechsher, it said glat kosher. He knew the fridge had one kosher and one nevela. So why did you take a chance? So therefore the Ramban says, and this word is brought also in Rabbeinu Yoina in the beginning of Shas, a whole cheshbon that says that how much is a chatos? It's bas danka, it's kosher. It could be one mo'eh. But the osham has to be 2 sloim, which 2 sloim is 48 mo'eh. So every osham costs 48 times the price of a chatos. Why? Because a chatos says that Rabbeinu Yoina, a person sinned. He realized that he turned on the light. It was Shabbos. He realized he went into a butcher shop and he bought meat. He thought it was kosher, and it turned out it was treif. And he feels terrible, terrible. The Torah says, just bas danka. He brings a chatos, finished. But this other guy doesn't feel bad about Bachlal. He doesn't feel bad, says Rabbeinu Yoina. He says, who says I ate the treif? You say I ate the treif. I don't know. I'm not sure. Actually, I was thinking I was eating on the right side, and I think my wife mentioned actually in the right side. He asks his wife, she doesn't remember, but I think I do remember. I don't remember. In his mind. So the Torah says, you know what? You're going to pay 48 times the price. And it's going to hurt you in the pocketbook, and you're going to say, ouch. And then you're going to realize that you're playing with fire. That like the Rebbe says, that even the din is that a behemoth will never do something dangerous. You know, a behemoth is not going to jump into fire. If a behemoth jumps into fire, there's something wrong. The behemoth is demented. How could a Yid get into a situation where he opened the fridge, he doesn't know, he ate the terefa or he ate kosher?
How he put in the fridge? He has one nut.
He put it. How did it happen?
That's a problem.
With poison. Did you ever do that with poison? You know, mamish poison. Elamai, you don't think it's poison. So Mamela. So that's the Vorta Rabbeinu Yoina. So let's summarize. You have the Vorta the Ramban and the Vorta Rabbeinu Yoina. The Rambans and the Bayona, they both come down to the same thing. That achatos is much less of a sin, and therefore it's 48 times less, and therefore it's 48 times cheaper to do. In other words, it's much easier tshuva. Masha'enke in Osham, which is a chutzpaniak, he went and he slapped his friend in the face and grabbed something out of his hand, or he apikoden and he lied about it. Or as Osham Tolui, you knew there was a problem here and you opened the fridge and you ate anyway. So Mamela, the tshuva is 48 times harder to do. That's he says in the Pshat in the Pasuk. Osham hu, Osham Lashem. That this is like, it's a Osham, it's a geferlicha thing. You have to realize it's a geferlicha thing.
They're not brought in the same area, this
So first we talk in like at least 30-40 psukim about the chatos, and the end of the parsha is another 30-40 psukim about the osham.
I'm saying the area in which they bring
the chatos and the osham is basically this, the kedusha of the osham is stronger.
Are they brought in the same area?
The oil and the chatos are brought in the same. The osham, I'm not sure.
It's also the Rambam these days.
The male, so the Rebbe, the same thing is with the issue of male and female when it comes to a chatos and an osham. What's the difference between a male and a female? A male is a ish darker lichbash. He's expected to conquer. A woman is expected to be at home to cook, right? When we say that Moshe Rabbeinu got weak because he said he heard such terrible news, so tosh koiche kinekeva became, or he said, father, the kid comes home from school after a whole year, Pesach time, and he doesn't even know the Manishtana. So we say, at psachloi, at v'loshen akeva. Father paid $10,000 tuition. The kid comes home, doesn't even know the Manishtana. So he feels as weak as an akeva. That's how weak, that's expression. At psachloi, because when he sees the kid is that way, is tosh koichik in akeva. So bottom line is, Zocher is strong, Nekeva is laid back.
Today the Nekeva, the Yaakov knows more than the Shiva.
Good, but they know it in a laid back way. The same thing is the Pasuk says, Koi Tamer Lebeis Yaakov Atagid Lebnei Yisrael, that with men you have to tell them Dvarim Koshem Kegidin. You have to be rough with the men. With the women, rough is not good. You have to be soft with them. Beloshin Raka. To the women you have to talk soft. To the men you have to talk Hakeshinov. You have to talk with them rough. So what's the difference between Zocher and Nekeva? Zocher is rough, and Nekeva means soft. Okay. Now, what is the inyan of a korban? So again, let's go to Ramban. Again, a big fat Ramban in the beginning of this week's parsha. What's a korban all about? So first he brings the Rambam, and he disagrees with the Rambam. Rambam says in the olden days, the pagan, they many of them worshipped cattle. The Egyptians, you have Indians till today, right? Indians, the Muslims and them, they're killing each other over the cow, right? The cows are the Kodesh Kadosh. So the Rambam says that the Jews kill, they slaughter the cow to show that they're not an avodah zorah. Oh, Maruch, that's why they used to on the first day of the month they used to celebrate with the some with the cow, and some with the soyer, and some with different 3 types of avodah zarah, and then therefore we shecht all 3 of them on Rosh Chodesh from Korban Musaf. The Ramban says, no, I disagree with that Mahalach. He says, I'll tell you the Poshta Pshat, and then I'll tell you Al-Pisoy the Pshat. Poshta Pshat says the Ramban is that a person, when he brings a korban, every sin has machshava dibur maisa. A person has a lust for a sin. That's machshava dibur. He plans out how he's going to do the sin, and the maisa, he goes and he does the sin. So, Rahman al-Islam, when he does naveda, it's a terrible thing. So, but the Eibishter has a chesed to Yid to say that the animal will suffer what the person deserves to suffer for doing such a sin. Therefore, a person has to do smicha b'kol koichoi, which is maisa. He has to say vidui. He has to say the confession, which is dibur. And the machshava, when the korban is shechted, he has to think that when he sees that the blood is dripping off the knife and the head is being sliced, that a person thinks that Rahman al-Islam,
I was supposed to be there.
I could have been there, because a sin makes me disconnected from the Eibishter. When a Yid is connected to the Eibishter, he's alive. When a Yid does Naveda, like the Mittel Rebbe says, I'm sorry, the Rebbe Rashab in a mime we spoke about a Shabbos. Aveda means avodah reshus hayochel reshus harabim. He goes from a safe place to a dangerous place. So therefore, a Yid thinks that whatever is being done to this chicken or this cow is really spiritual, what's happening to me, and Rahman al-Islam, the results is that a person really could, from a sin, could be disconnected from the Eibishter. Memela chas v'sholom, physically not live. The Eibishter had a chesed for me, and they said that the cow will die. Like we say karbonos. Yeah. So Memela, a person thinks about this, and Memela he does tshuva, and therefore he says that's the whole idea that the blood goes, the chaylev, because the person is lustful, that's chaylev. Blood is the person's boiling with lust, and that's why we put the kloyas, the top is a kloyas, because kloyas yoyetz is the kidneys, and is where the ideas start cooking, somewhere deep in the kidney is where the ideas start coming up, and therefore the whole, and it's all everything in the korban is merames on this thing.
It's amazing how the rabbis knew everything without
They unanimous, clear. Yeah.
Where's Dibur and all this?
The vidui, the mices, the smicha.
Where's in the Veda itself?
Not every Aveda, but some Avedas goes punkt. Not everything is chassidus a machshava dibur ma'isa. Sometimes a machshava right away the ma'isa, don't speak.
Okay.
But azoi, the perfect diabolical plan goes like Haman thinks, then he talks to his bad advisors, and then he does it.
Does Chassidus explain it anyway why it is that the thing of the klayot?
Why is Kloyas Yoetz is what's the connection?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, like with the lave. So Rambam already deals with this issue.
What's the connection with feeling and
no,
lave?
so he says simply it's a matter of language. The lave does not necessarily really mean the heart, this organ. Lave means the center. Like it brings from many Pesukim, and there's more in the Bokim at the very beginning. Lave means the center of something. So here is the center of the
person
of the circulatory system, and here is the center of the nervous system.
But what's the Kloyas Yoetz? How does the Kloyas give ideas?
Says that Abraham Avinu learned from his.
It's from
what?
Abraham Avinu learned from his
Kloyas.
What?
The second shot. The second is Kloyas. Right.
Doesn't seem to have anything to do with now.
Second shot.
Deal with the
You have to
urine.
understand what the process means.
That's what he's asking. Second shot. The second shot is Chassidus. Chassidus says that the first Maimon on the lekuti Torah, Odom ki yakriv mikem korban Hashem. The Alter Rebbe right away says, what's up shot? It says Odom mikem ki yakriv. The Alter Rebbe says Odom ki yakriv, when a person wants to come close, mikem korban. The Yid is the korban. A Yid has to think about the fact that his neshama really is a chelak alakamim al mamash. The neshama never sins, and the sin has to shaychas with the behema. Bokor, Menatzoin, there's all kinds of behemoths. There is a chutzpedike behemoth, there is a tzoin behemoth. The Alter Rebbe has a whole mimer about the different type of behemoths. The Nefesh HaBahamis pulled me to the wrong place. But the Nefesh HaLakis is really close to the Eibishter. Odom ki yakriv mikem, that the Yid itself comes close to the Eibishter, and he thinks about the fact that what brought him to Veda is really the behemoth. Every person has to identify what kind of behemoth is me. The son is the tzoin, the son is the lashon achmonas. He's very sweet, don't bother me, I won't bother you. Let's soft, we're all going to do our own taivas and gandik. We won't criticize each other. Exactly, too sharp and too sweet. And the Alter Rebbe goes into all the different type of nefesh bahamis. A person has to realize, identify what nefesh bahamis he has, and to realize that the nefesh bahamis is pulling him to the wrong place. So really, nefesh alakis is a chelik kalakamimal. So now you have two thoughts that really, if you think about the difference of the Ramban and the Alter Rebbe, is like the difference of dvorim koshim kegidim and dvorim rakim. The Alter Rebbe is talking very sweet. It's very sweet. The Maimah, it's not dvorim koshim at all. It's very sweet. The Alter Rebbe is saying that really the neshama is beautiful, and the neshama never sins. And even b'shas the sin, the neshama is always loyal to the Eibishter. And the nefesh bahamis pulled him away to the wrong place. It's chelek elokam mamash. You can't. Good. So that's raka. That's soft. The Ramban is talking hakeshina. The Ramban is talking.
I think the Rambam is talking about more the physical, not only the neshama. The neshama, the hakeshina is the actual body. Because of you sin, and the neshama is in you. You should suffer for it. That's
Rabbi, in Hebrew,
Okay.
if you want to criticize someone, you say "Eze behemata."
Okay. Exactly.
Eze behemata.
Very good. Mela, that's a stronger. Mela, sagt the Rebbe, so you could say like this, that when a person does a sin which is a shoygig, so the Ramban and the Rabbeinu Yonah both say that over there the Aveda and the Tikkun is 48 times less. And therefore a person, when he has to talk to himself when he does a chatas, is really has to give himself the soft treatment. Say, look, really the neshama is always loyal to the Eibishter. And there's an nefesh bahamis that pulled me in the wrong direction, and that's the way. That's the whole general direction where how a person has to talk. He gave himself the soft treatment. Therefore, achatos is always in the keva, but an asham is always a zocher. He has to talk to himself with dvorim koshim kegidim, like the Gemara says that sometimes a person has to be margiz yetza toiv al yetza hora. He has to scream on his yetza hora. Sometimes you talk to yourself soft, tahin, soft. It's just not working. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Perek Chavtes and Tanya. Oh, you got it. The Alter Rebbe says that we see that he says that what happened with the Meraglim, they didn't trust that the Eibishter could take them into Eretz Yisrael. They said, "Afilo ba'alabayis ene yochel yitzekelu misham." That even the Eibishter himself, Kivyochel, can't settle an issue there because the people, the Canaanites, are too strong. Even God couldn't do it. Okay? So you don't trust even God could perform a miracle. The Eibishter punished them. He said they're staying in the desert. And Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to them and he gave them, he rebuked them. And then all of a sudden, the next day they come, they said, Hinena v'olinu. We want to go. The Alter Rebbe says, what happened? They don't trust that the Eibishter could protect them. They're crying that they're all going to be killed. So what happened? Nothing. The Eibishter didn't perform any miracles in between. The only thing that happened is that Moshe Rabbeinu was screaming at them. He rebuking them. The Alter Rebbe says, because really you trust in the Eibishter. It's just that there was a big chutzpah of the klipa that was very thick. And when it was broken, the Yid already has the trust in Hashem. So therefore the Alter Rebbe says sometimes a person has to just scream at himself. Say Ata, Ra, Meshuketz, Metuah, Menuvel. He has to talk to his Nefesh Bahamas, say you're despicable and you're covering over the MS. Sometimes you gotta break his teeth of the Nefesh Bahamas. You have to be rough with him. So there's a soft treatment and there's a rough treatment. When it comes to a sin which is achatos, he thought he's buying kosher. He thought it's the weekday. And in Achman Sunday, he opened the light. He thought he's going to a kosher butcher shop. It turns out it's today. So over there, he has to talk to himself in a soft tongue. He has to give himself the soft treatment. Therefore, the korban is achatos and the keva. But when the sin is a asham, he was a chutzpanyag. He went and he steals something, grabs that out of his friend's hand. So Oshem Vada or even Oshem Tolui, so he has to give himself the rough treatment. It has to be Dvorim Koshem Kegidin.
Right, when Moshe Rabbeinu rebuked them and they said, Hinena va'alinu, they made tshuva on the spot, so why they still punish? They made tshuva. So let's go, okay. Forever wasn't their past, we take it, we were wrong, you never alinu. So why they still got punished?
Because they, didn't give themselves a treatment. The Moshe Rabbeinu gave them a treatment. The whole trick is the person has to give himself the treatment.
Wasn't it the whole 8 days?
If Moshe Rabbeinu gives them the
That
treatment.
was the whole 8 days.
No, they cried Tisha B'Av. The whole night they cried.
I know what I'm saying. The entire Yemei Miluim was to recover after Chet HaEgel.
That's Chet HaEgel, but he's talking, we're talking now not Chet HaEgel, we're talking about the Chet of the Marang.
He lost his lach
Right,
over there.
right. Back to our, we were holding here.
The Loshen from the Rambam. כל הקודשים אפשר שיתערבו ממדינות חוץ מן החלטות המדינה שלנו. This would answer the...
Oh, now let's go into the Rambam. So the Rambam says like this. The Rambam says,
We know the difference between Atin and Amin.
what does it? So the Rebbe says, and I think for this, maybe you need to be a Rebbe for many years. I was just kidding, but it's like, the Rebbe says, this is the usual thing. Sometimes when a person does a shoygig, he's really is on the border of negligence. He's on the border of negligence. There was an article in the Kfar Chabad magazine last week. Rabbi Landau, his son, got involved with his father's Achshedim. So he was saying, they were asking about Achshedim, and he's saying sometimes people say, it doesn't matter, there's a stamp. The rabbi, you know, like, he doesn't say it, but you know, there's one of my famous vet, I love to say, V'salachta l'aveinenu, you have to forgive our sins. Kiravu, the Rovet gesagt zu kosher. So what do you want from me? Salachta l'aveinenu, kiravu. So it said, so he said, sometimes you smell that something is not kosher. What's the difference? So the rabbi is Rabbi's Verstetzach who's giving the hechsher is responsible. But what? Just because there is a stamp on the thing, but you heard in the shul that they say there's a problem. Certain whiskeys that they're making echveis in sherry caskets or something. Whatever the issue is, that's oimed alapedik. It doesn't matter, but it has a hechsher. So he said a story, Mordecai story. He says the small ones. But he says that his early years, his zayda was Tachterov and Bnei Barak, and he was a Talmud Chochem and a Choshev Etomim. There was a milkman that in the morning used to make deliveries. But Weiss says he had Arab workers. So Rabbi Yaakov Landa paid him extra money. He said, I want you to wake up before the workers start milking the cows, and I want you to be there. Because that's Bemis. He wanted it to be mamish no it was old. It was in Bnei Barak. There were no piggies there. But mach nishtois. Also is the din that has to be Cholav Shechol Ve'akom and Yisrael. He wanted that you should be there b'poel mamish. So he used to pay him a double for extra. Whatever. He paid him more for the milk, and the guy said the deal. He gets up early. Okay. After Pesach, he always used to take a little vacation. He used to go to Ein Kerem in Yerushalayim for a short time. He rented an apartment, and as he was Bnei Barak, he was Dochterov, so he was always busy. Came back from his vacation, and he right away called the milkman. He said, I'm paying you so much extra for the milk all these years, and the nas made up. You're lying. You don't get up, and you're not there. So he said, no, what are you talking about? I'm there every morning. So he started screaming at him. He said, I know you're not there. So the person was Moed al Emes. He's not there. He said, okay, I don't want the milk anymore. I don't need any milk in the morning. He said, milk. Fine. So Bnei Bayis asked him, how do you know? So he said, for a long time, I'm davening every day. But when I was in Yerushalayim, it's like a daven zeh geschmack.
So something
I
is
know what's going on. Why dafka in Yerushalayim so daven zeh geschmack and in Bnei Barak not? What's the difference, Yerushalayim and Bnei Barak? And I was thinking, and it dawned on me that maybe this guy is taking the money and he's taking not there. He's not there b'shas the chaliva of the cows. So I just figured I'll try it. And he said it was not true. So I got upset. So I started screaming. But Taki, he was moida ala emes. I realized it was Taka emes. The fire tzach nish gedavid. So, Tintum Alei, right. So, there are sometimes a shogeg, which is on the borderline that a person shogeg. What are you telling me? Shogeg. On the other hand, there's sometimes a person who Rachmana litzlan is amazed. But like Chazal say, harbe shchenim roim oisim. Sometimes Nebuch, a person was born with a very, very rough nature, or had something in a childhood that was very problematic. So Taka right now he's mazed. Right now he's a chutzpanyak, he's a asham gezelos, asham yilos, asham shivcha charusva, terrible things. But really, if you look very deeply, this guy's mazed is like someone else's shoygig. So that's a pshat that sometimes you can get mixed up. You could say that really a chatas, this guy's chatos is an osham, and this guy's osham is a chatos. Because if you look very closely, well, if you look at the person, not at the sin, if you look at the person and the circumstances of the person, you could see that this guy was a gazlan. Poshet, he's an armed robber, a goon. He joined the Russian mafia. Nebuch, a Yiddish boy. But his job... My brother had a problem. Should give him a didanotzach. But a couple of years ago, he had workers that were working, and he paid them. And then they came along, they said they didn't pay. In Russia, it's like, it's a little bit lawless. And they threatened him. He said they showed a picture of his wife and his kids. So he realized there's one of the guys that he lately was very, very warm with him, putting on film, but he heard that this guy is a little shady. So he called up this guy and he asked him, "Could you help me out?" He showed him the pictures and everything and the threat. He said, "Rabbi, don't worry.
Take care.
Don't worry." Next day, the contractor with the workers came, and he owed him another $10,000 for another job. He said, "Please, I don't want the money." It doesn't want the money. This guy was taka from the goons, and in Nebuch, a Yiddish boy, but his job is to bump people off the road. So this time he was doing the job for the shliach, but the Rachmana litzlan. But if you look sometimes deep, you find that on the person, the gavra is a asham gezelis. But really, Nebuch, he had circumstances, and it's not really an osham, it's a chatas. And another person who's a sheina yid, but it's negligence. You heard that there's problems with the sechshe, so why didn't you look deeply into it? So Mamela could be a chatas, it's really an osham, and osham, it's really a chatas. And the Rambam says, that's what the Mishnah is telling us. Because you think that sometimes a chatas is really an osham and an osham is really a chatas. So the answer is that that's in the gavre. If you look at the person, could be a sheina yid, but even though he was a chatas, but it's really an osham. And could be a guy who's a goon. But really, if you look deeply, Nebuch, he had a problematic childhood, and therefore it's really a chatas. But that's only in the gavre. But if you look at the hefts of the Aveda, because Aveda has two parts to it. There's also what the Aveda does, what the Aveda accomplishes in the neshama and in the world. What it cuts off from the neshama and what it does in the world and all the oilimus. When a yid doesn't Aveda, it doesn't only affect the yid, it affects all the oilimus. So Mela, therefore, the answer is that even though kol hakochim efshir shesarim b'mina chutz min achatas min osham, because you would think the achatas osham could get mixed up. The answer is that if you look at that's only in the gavra, but if you look at the cheftza eino osham ela mezichre kvosim ve'ein lo chachatas min akvosim ela nekeva. There's a Mordecai story from the Arizal that they say, right? That the Arizal, that was a yid they used to bring, that he heard about lechem aponim. And he used to bring the lechem upon him. He used to put the lechem upon him. He thought that he told his wife that there's a lechem upon him. So the Rebbeinu Shalom, he felt bad. The Rebbeinu Shalom used to eat these delicious breads. He heard the whole thing about it was fresh from Shabbos to Shabbos. And now it's a churban Beis Hamikdash. The Rebbeinu Shalom must be starving chalash for 1,500 years. He didn't eat anything. So he told his wife an eitzah that she should bake 12 chalas, and he's going to put it in the Oren Kodesh. And he came Shabbos when they took out the Sefer Torah. He looked in and he saw Taka. There was a chalas not there. So he came home, saw some simcha, told his wife that Rebbeinu Shalom was really happy. and he didn't leave even a crumb behind. And they did that for a few weeks in a row. And what happened really was that who was taking the chalas? There was a shamash in the shul who saw this chalas in there, machaya, fresh chalas. He took them all home. Didn't leave even a crumb in the Oren Kodesh. The kids they found out about it. They called the two people, and he was noisy from them. He said, "You're kind of foolish things that you think you give him the Rebbeinu Shalom chalas, and he enjoys your chalas, and you what kind of gun of it is? You take the chalas." The kids they both went out over the and then he got a thing from the Arizal that Arizal wants to talk to him, and the Arizal told him that he did a terrible thing. That Malamayla, the Rebbeinu Shalom had such an achas from these chalas. This guy was putting the chalas, this guy was eating the chalas, and the Rebbeinu Shalom was mamish the nachas ruach. The nachas ruach that happened Lamayla is unbelievable, and that now he ruined this nachas ruach Lamayla. So there's a similar story with the Baal Shem
He died
Tov.
that year.
Right. That's the end of the story.
The Rav.
A similar story with the Baal Shem Tov. That the Baal Shem Tov, that's the story with the Kozhnetz Amagi. There we saw Kozhnetz was a Goan Otzum. If you look today at the Chidushim, there are Chidushim that are printed from Rabbi Yisrael of Kozhnetz. It was a Goan Otzum, and he was a tzaddik. And there's a story about his birth, that the Baal Shem Tov was once a Leil Shabbos, and the Baal Shem Tov started to laugh. And 3 times, then in the middle of the Suda, at the end of the Suda, each time the Baal Shem Tov broke out in a murdic laughter, and no one knew what it was. And what's a Shabbos? The Baal Shem Tov, they asked the Baal Shem Tov said, come with me. So they took one of those Baal Shem Tov trips, and they came to a town where there was one of Talmidei Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov asked him, the bookbinder, could you bring me the bookbinder and his wife? So there was a Yid, a Pashta Yid, his name was Reb Shapsi, and his wife, he was a bookbinder. So he came, the Baal Shem Tov was sitting there with Talmidim, and the Baal Shem Tov said, please tell me what happened in your house this Friday night. Something special happened. So there's nothing that special. Tell me what it was. So he said that he's been a bookbinder for years and years and years. When he was younger, he had more koiches, and he was a hustler, and he got a lot of books. And by Thursday, they had plenty of money. Friday morning, by 10 o'clock, Shoah Sidis, he was out of the house. He used to go to shul, and he used to learn Torah, and he used to bring in Shabbos. He came home after Kabbalah Shabbos. Now, his business is not so what it used to be. And it's very hard. Sometimes he gets, Friday he can get a job, Thursday a job, but he still keeps his thing. 10 o'clock Shabbos, he goes to Beis HaMerchetz, goes to shul, and that's it. This week, he had no business. So he had no money. So he told his wife, but he doesn't want to take tzedakah. So they're gonna this Shabbos they won't eat. They won't eat. They'll drink water. But she b'shum shouldn't take any tzedakah from anyone or nothing. He's begging her. She was maskim, and he went as like his regular thing to shul. And after davening, he wasn't in a hurry to come home because he can't make kiddush. There's no wine, no challah, no food anyway. So he stayed a little. He came home. He sees there's Shabbos candles burning, and he comes into the house, shmak, geshmak, and there's chalas, and there's wine. You've never seen such a suda. So first he's thinking to himself that so we made a deal, and she must have taken some tzedakah from someone. But he said that he held himself in, and he didn't say anything. He made kiddush. Then he asked his wife, "What's going on?" So his wife said that she felt really bad, but they made a deal. Deal is a deal. So she well looked through her old shmatas, and she found that she had one of his old skirt that they had silver buttons. So she took off the buttons and she polished them, and she went to the marketplace and she got it. She sold it for a good price.
Good wife.
And the money she spent for beautiful Suda Shabbos and for candles. He was so happy when he heard that. So really, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us on a silver platter. The Rebbeinu Shalom gave us a Suda Shabbos. And the Baruch Hashem, it's a delicious Suda, and we didn't have to take any tzedakah. So he got so excited, he started to dance with his wife. And him and his wife were dancing. But then his wife said, okay, no, it's time to have the Suda. So they're good, they washed. But in the middle of the meal, he couldn't hold himself in. He started dancing with his wife again. Then the wife said, okay, no, but we have to finish the Suda. They finished the Suda, and then they danced and danced and danced. So the Baal Shem Tov, the Talmidim understood that 3 times he danced with his wife is when the Baal Shem Tov broke out in laughter. The Baal Shem Tov could see Mesoifa Elavat Soifa. So he saw it. So the Baal Shem Tov was funny, you know. This guy starting to dance with his wife. And such simcha, so Baal Shem Tov was laughing. So the Baal Shem Tov, the Yid thought that he did something bad. You know, this whole story is like funny. He's dancing with his wife. Maybe it's not, you know, it's impossible. So he asked the Baal Shem Tov how he does tshuva. What can if he did a chait, so maybe he wants to do tshuva. The Baal Shem Tov said that he did no chait, and he was going to Gevaldik and Nachas said Rabban Shalom. He turned to the woman and he said that he wants to give her a bracha, whatever she wants. She should pick something, whatever she wants. She had ashidus, arichos yomim, whatever she wants. The woman says she doesn't want anything. Ashidus, what she needs, arichos yomim. But they're married for many years. They have no children. Baal Shem Tov said, you'll have a son, and you'll name him Yisrael, like my name, and I'm going to be the sandik. And that boy grew up to be a Goen Otzum and a Tzaddik. This was Rabbi Yisrael of Koznitz. He was born with that broch. Mele from that Tmimus, he thought that he did a chait. Of the Emes, he was going to Megavaldik and Nachas Ruach. Ebesh shall help from going into the Sefer parshas karbonos. That we call oisik b'toyres oila, b'toyres chatas, b'toyres oshem, b'toyres shlomim. That we should it's as if we're bringing these karbonos to the Eibishter. So we should be zoichetake to bring v'sham nasa kemitzah senecha, the real karbonos in the base of Mikdash Shlishi.